The question that we're asking in general is how does one get to heaven?
Okay. Let me begin by saying that in Buddhism we have maybe a very different view of these terms than we do in the Judeo-Christian West. Heaven is not so much a place that we get to in afterlife, but heaven is right here, right now. And we usually use the term, of course, nirvana rather than heaven, which means that we find peace and liberation in being in the here and now, being present, rather than being in our heads, thinking about either the past or dwelling on the future, that we're actually mindful and attentive in the present. And so when we are here, in the here and now, that is nirvana, because we're at peace with ourself, our own mind, and our life situations, even though, of course, there's all kinds of ups and downs.
And that's what I was going to ask you in regard to that. Right here and right now, it's kind of easy to imagine we're in a beautiful office. It is peaceful. It even smells good. I can imagine heaven being right here and right now. But there are children who are only getting by through a life of crime in Rio de Janeiro. There are people dying in Darfur. There are homeless kids downtown here. That doesn't sound like heaven.
That's right. From our dualistic perspective, of course, it wouldn't. So in Zen and in Buddhism, we see that there are actually two sides to reality. There's an absolute side and there's a relative side, like two sides of a coin. Of course, there's only one reality. There's only one coin, but there's two sides to it. So from the absolute side, one can be in nirvana, and from the relative side, dealing with the most hideous and most terrible kinds of situations. And it doesn't mean that we're in any way ignoring or denying the struggle, the suffering. In fact, all of Buddhism's about alleviating suffering, whether it be to someone who's homeless and cold, or someone who's hungry and feeding them, or somebody who's just stressed out and working with that stress. So the two sides of reality, the relative side of reality, the side that we're mostly used to calling reality, the apparent reality, of course we're all dealing with those situations. But one can come from a place of seeing that that is one reality, and only one reality. There's another reality where there's no coming, no going, there's no one suffering, and there's no one to suffer.
Is that, I'm probably thinking dualistically in asking, but is there a physicality to that other reality, to that absolute reality?
No, they're all right here, right now.
Okay.
It's a perspective. Okay, so like I've developed the big mind process, which is really big mind, big heart process, which is for Westerners a very simple, quick, immediate way to experience what in Zen tradition has taken usually years to experience. And the big mind experience is when we experience that our mind has no boundaries and that everything is embraced in this mind. So this is the absolute side. And from that perspective, everything is just exactly what it is. We don't label it conceptually good, bad, right, wrong, this or that. It's all one mind. From the other side, the big heart, which is the compassionate side, we see that it's just as unlimited, but embracing all things. My suffering is the suffering of the world suffering. So if you talk about children suffering, or like the shooting that just happened a few days ago, that kind of suffering we feel very intimately, and there's a tremendous amount of empathy and compassion for other people's suffering. That's the other side of the reality.
So is there something where you dive into that, where you actually consciously decide to feel that, rather than, because I think a lot of people would have the perception that that there's a remove to what you're talking about, where you're separating yourself from those things.
Yeah, it's actually exactly the opposite. It's becoming one with. It's more intimate. It's not a removal from. It's a matter of perspective to see from the absolute reality, to see that I am you and you are me, and your suffering is my suffering, and that we are really connected. We're one mind, one body, one being on some level. And then to see the other side of that is you have your life, I have my life, and when I see you suffering, I have empathy and compassion for your suffering. So it's not a matter of removal. It is a matter, though, of not buying into our perceptions as such, that my perceptions of reality are the only reality.
And looking at, I'm going to take a step back again here,
Sure.
And think about that word nirvana, and what if someone were going to ask you to give the Webster's definition as well as you can, what would you say?
Well, I couldn't give. I've never looked it up. It's more of an experience, but I would say it's a peace. It's chilled out, kind of where you're not suffering. It's a state of liberation. It's a state of feeling no boundaries. It's a kind of chilled out is a good word for it.
Yeah.
You're just chilled.